Good morning, old school Texas Tech. How you doing, Jordan?
Doing well, my man. How's life down in Ecuador in old South America?
It's good. It's good. It's starting to warm up a little bit. You guys are starting to cool down probably a little bit. We're starting to warm up the opposite, right?
Yeah, no,
South.
it's no longer the inferno here that it usually is, and I will take it, my friend. I will take it.
What's the average temp in the DFW right now? Like right.
It's crazy, man, because in the morning it'll be like 68, 70, 72, and then it'll get up to 80, and then it's like 93 by the end of the day. But then tomorrow it'll be a high of 80. This thing is like a pinball all over the place, man. It's so
Yeah.
up and down. It's like we'll experience 3 seasons in one day. It really doesn't make a lot of sense.
I remember one time I heard a funny quote. I don't know who came up with the quote, but it said if you don't like the weather in Dallas Fort Worth, just wait 30 minutes.
Very true,
It
my friend. Very
it's
true.
kind it's a little bit like that here. I mean, not with temperature, but like I mean, it can literally be like a sunny, like beautiful day, like the mountain rivers are flowing, and then like 45 minutes later, it's like a massive rainstorm just out of nowhere. So yeah. All right, so I did the recap, which was a fun recap to do, definitely for the Houston game. But we got another one, and it's a huge one for sure. So let's start off. Worst case scenario: Baylor's favored in this game. Last time I looked, it was 1.5.
Yep.
I think Vegas is like really torn on this one, and I don't blame them. I am too. so,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Putting
What
him
do
up.
what do you think?
Okay, so you asked me worst case scenario, right?
Worst case scenario.
I still have visions of last year's beat down in my head in Lubbock. I know that was kind of an odd game where I think we lost by 4 touchdowns. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, worst case scenario is we lose by a couple of scores. If you're asking me what do I think score wise, I would say something along the lines of 28-17, 28-20, something like that. I'm only concerned in the fact that it's a road game for us, and we know our track record on the road in recent years.
yeah, and at some point that's got to change. But yeah, I actually have it a little worse than that. I have 38-21 Baylor as a worst case scenario. I think there's a scenario. A couple people have mentioned it on the group. If we put together two halves of defense like we played in the first half last week, second half was extremely impressive. I think Tim DeRuyter deserves a lot of credit for that because we have a pretty beat up defense, especially a linebacker. And so I think he deserves a lot of credit for that second half. But that first half, I mean, Donovan Smith lit us up. If we were to go into Waco and play defense like that on the road, it's a night game, so we're gonna have to wait. I've heard the players talk about it. They say they love the night games in Lubbock, but they hate the night games on the road. I hope the coaches have changed their mentality on some of that. But yeah, I think the worst case scenario is 38-21 Baylor.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, be a bad night and would really put us in a really big bind for the rest of the year for sure. All right, let's go best case scenario.
I see us squeezing out a victory, kind of in that 35-31 range. It probably neither team will have a comfortable lead. It'll be a seesaw battle. We may get a,
Best case,
I think best case, yes. I think we win a
really.
35-31 type game. Baylor is just not very good, in my opinion. I still think that we're probably slightly better than the 2-3 record would indicate. But
Yeah, I think we are. I think we are too. I think our best case is almost an exact flip of the worst case. I think there's a scenario where if we play two halves of defense like we did in the second half, and then we get the whole thunder and lightning thing going. Baylor is not. I'm going to get into it once I get to my actual prediction. But my best case scenario last week, by the way, was pretty close. I think I
You
had
almost nailed it last week
it
completely on your
was
best case.
49-20, right? Is what I
Yeah,
said.
something like that. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And so if Donovan Smith would have been just a little bit less insane in the first half with some of those statistics that he threw up, there was like that was like NCAA college football from back when we were in college. Those were insane. Those were insane numbers. I could see us. Baylor's not great against the run. Um, we are proving so far to be a good running team. And so if we put together two halves of defense, we get the running game going, thunder and lightning. And then Baron Morton's and stays healthy. Even if the young guy has to play, I heard they're doing the same thing as last week. They're giving Jake Strong's his name right. One of these days I'll get it right.
Yep.
Um, Jake tells you how little I care about players before they act. I mean, I don't mean that. I care about them, so don't go in the group saying what a. I mean, I am kind of a jerk, but
You're
I
so
just yeah, I don't get that I don't get that emotion attached to recruits until they actually like put on the scarlet and black and actually play for us. But even if Jake Strong has to play, I think we have enough passing game to keep him honest. So I could see a scenario. I don't think it's the most likely scenario, but I do see a best case scenario of basically 42-21. I was kind of thinking today about baseball. No matter what, even a really bad team like the New York Mets were this year, even a really bad team is going to win 60 games. And and they're gonna win 60 games. They're gonna lose at least 60 games. That's kind of like the bar. I think in this game, like the loser is probably going to put up at least 21, in my opinion. And then the winner's going to put up at least in the high 20s, in my opinion.
well. Don't forget they're coming off that high of coming back on Central Florida, so I could
I
also see them coming out a little flat too after giving all they had to come back in that one.
I don't know. Is Baylor known for being good at night in Waco?
I don't know. I don't think that I don't. I've never heard that. Um,
Not like Tech,
no,
not like Tech is at night, right?
no, I don't
Yeah,
believe so.
my our buddy that I'm talking about, big Georgia fan. He always says the two best teams at night at home are LSU 1A, Tech 1B, and I think that's probably. I wish
Yeah.
this was a night game in Lubbock, although they came in and whipped us last year at night under the lights. So that was brutal. And I will mention too. Last year, Mister Firebrand McGuire is. I loved his. They played part of his pregame speech before the Houston game. I absolutely loved it, and I have a feeling that that was the edited version. I have the feeling that might have been the edited version of trying to get the team, this pregame talk before the Houston coming down the tunnel against Houston. So I have a feeling that he might mention that score from last year because there's still a lot of players on this team from last season. All right, so what do you think's actually going to happen?
I mean, I think we're gonna squeeze out a narrow win, man. Um, I gave the 35-31. I want to keep it. Well, I'll say if I what I really think is going to happen. You know what? I'm going to say 21-20 Texas Tech.
21-20. I'll take it. I'll if we could get out of there with like a 0.25 point win, I would take it. So if that was mathematically possible. So I'll be happy to take a 1 point win. I have Tech winning 28-24. I really struggle with that. I really actually Even when I was shooting the recap video, I was leaning Baylor, just because it's really hard to pick Tech on the road. But
Yep.
at some point, this whole road thing's gonna have to come to an end. Like I said last week, greatness is the orphan of urgency. And that kind of leads me, we'll get to in a second, my next question. But the reason why I ultimately decided on Tech winning is Baylor gave up 4.9 yards a carry to Long Island University. They gave up 4.8 to Utah. Okay, Utah's a good team. Texas State. I don't know. There's some interesting things going on down there. I was talking to my cousin about it the other day, but they actually held them to 3.7 yards a carry, which is respectable. Texas. I don't know. Is our running game may not be quite as good as Texas, but I don't know that it's that far off. They averaged 5.1 yards a carry against Baylor. University of Central Florida averaged 6.7 yards a carry. How in the
Wow.
world do you lose a game averaging 6.7 yards a carry? So I had to think we're somewhere. Let's say Texas State and UCF are kind of outliers, one way or the other. So 4.8, 4.9, 5.1. I think Tech's somewhere in that vicinity. So we're average. You get Taj and Cameron. Oh, they've also given up some really big long runs, which could, I could see Cameron Valdez, rattling off like a big touchdown run. So that's ultimately why I ended up picking Tech. I think our offensive line, even though they have their issues, they have serious issues with pass protection. They have been blocking the run very well. Actually, I heard a pretty cool story at the end of the game. Caleb Rogers, the tackle, came up. Is that his name? Caleb Rogers, I think. The tackle. Yeah, he came up to McGuire and was like, Coach, just let us let us finish it, with Houston. Like, just put it on the ground, like we can finish it." And I remember he had a couple big blocks at the end, and so I think that our running game is ultimately gonna put us over the top. But it's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be a really good game for sure.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. I think a huge difference, obviously, between 2-4 and 3-3. So
Yeah, especially
it's
if you look who we have coming down I was talking to a guy in the group last night, who was questioning our defensive prowess, and he made some good points. I mean, we haven't really played like the big time offensive teams yet. Although I don't know, I think the Big 12 is so fluid right now. It's really hard. I don't really think that other than Texas and maybe OU. I don't know that we've really sized everyone up. I mean, even K State had a pretty bad. We'll see what I'm not in the business of talking too much SEC, but we'll see what Missouri does against LSU on Saturday. But even K State, they don't look like a completely proven commodity yet. Would you agree?
I agree. I think yeah, in K State's going to be coming to Lubbock too, which helps obviously when you
And
talk.
that's a night game. That's a
Yeah,
night game. All right. So my follow up question. Um, what so we have four more road games, including Saturday, if my math is if my vision is correct, from looking at the schedule. We have four more road games, including Baylor. We have to win one of them to become bowl eligible. In my opinion, I think we have to win two of them to become bowl eligible, because it might be pretty hard to beat both the purple teams. I don't know, maybe not, but so I want you to kind of tell me, like, which one's the easiest road game, and at least, like, you can rank all four if you want, or you can just say the easiest and the second easiest road game that we have left on our schedule.
Well, I think the easiest road game we have left is Baylor on Saturday. I don't think there's any question of that. And I'm going to rank them from easiest to hardest. So we've got what Baylor, BYU, Kansas, and Texas. Correct? Is that right?
Yeah, those are the four. Is that how you rank them?
No, I would say I think Kansas for some reason will be. I think we match up a little bit better with them than we do here. Okay, so here's my ranking. I'm going to say Baylor easiest. Then next would be Kansas. And then from there, BYU seems to be having a pretty good season. Plus, we're there on the road. Obviously, we're at Kansas too, but BYU, I know there's a little bit of an elevation thing here, which we seem to potentially have an issue with. And then I think there's pretty much a very, very, very low chance that we beat Texas in any capacity. I mean, I would already chalk that one up as a loss. Don't want to get ahead of myself here, but that's my order.
Yeah, actually, I have the exact same order, and for
Okay.
pretty much the exact same reasons. That's why I would. That's why I almost put. We're still maybe a little early in the season. I mean, I think last week was definitely a must win because you lose to Houston at home after losing to West Virginia on the road. That's kind of it for the season, I think.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I can't say that this is an absolute must win, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. So I would say Baylor. I think we just because of that disadvantage, if we can get the running game going, and then Baron Morton was incredibly efficient against Houston. He didn't put up any video game like numbers, but he just did his job. And so if we can do that again, but you're asking a sophomore to go on the road in a pretty hostile environment, and do that again. But I think he can do it because this is really his third year. I mean, he played a little bit. I think he played in one game his freshman year, just like very limited, maybe like a snap or two with Oklahoma State. But it's not like he just got on campus. He played some pretty big games last year. So I think he could do it. But this is a huge game, and I think this is the easiest one. Kansas. I think we could win that. We could win that game, and we may have to if we split with the two. I think we're going to beat Central Florida at home. I think if it were in Orlando, that's another story. I think we'd
Yep.
struggle. We would struggle like Baylor, but at home, I have to look at the dates on that. If that's one of the games that's disrupted by the Thanksgiving holidays, because I know it's towards the end. But but if we win Saturday, that game's going to be a sellout. I think so. So anyway, so I got Baylor, Kansas. I think we have a chance to win that one if we have to. I even think we have a chance at BYU because Wyoming's proven that's proving not to be such a terrible loss. Yes, we should have won for sure, but I was watching Tim. I think his name's Tim Brando on with the Baylor guys last night, and he's saying that Wyoming could be like the Tulane of this year. So that's proving not to be such a terrible loss. I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's any chance unless we just get super super hot, and that would have to be a fluke game. I don't think we're winning in Austin.
We're in agreement.
All right. So it is kick is Saturday, 6 Central. Is that right?
Yep, and I will actually be there at the game, so I'll be yelling
Oh,
and
you're
cheering.
going down there?
I'll be there. It's a short drive from Dallas, so I'm trying
Cool.
trying to squeeze my one Tech game in a year, even though I haven't really been able to do that in recent years. But it'll be
Yeah.
fun. I expect it to be kind of a hostile environment. We'll see what happens.
I was a little surprised. I knew I mean, the stadium looks really nice. I actually played a high school game at Floyd Casey, but I was actually surprised that stadium doesn't hold as many. The capacity is not as big as I thought.
No, it's not. It's actually quite a bit small. And I have not been to their new stadium, but I don't think I think I mean, ours is still, I want to say, and I could be wrong here. I think we hold about 10,000 more, don't we?
Yeah, it's well with the construction I think it's like seven or eight right now, but yeah, I think once the construction's finished we get back closer to 60. There are like 40 49. Joey McGuire talked about his press conference. He was hoping a lot of tech people would come down from the Metroplex. So that's great. That's cool that you're going. I didn't know that. So that's
Yeah.
great.
Looking forward
I
to it.
if I could find a cheap standby ticket from Guayaquil or Quito, Ecuador to Waco, I might surprise you and show up.
Nice. Pulling for it, man. Keep fingers crossed.
All right. Well, we need this one. Another one's going to be exciting. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon and have fun going down there. I didn't know you were going to the games. That's great.
Sounds good, my friend. We'll talk later, okay?
All right. Take care.